I was only 37 when my Uncle Philip passed away. A week before he died, he sent for me. I had never met him before. He didn't like my mother, but I didn't know why. Long ago, she told me not to expect anything from her brother. He was good at inventing things and had made a lot of money by improving turbine wheels. He lived alone, cooked his own food, and loved collecting precious stones, especially rubies and pearls. He had a strong obsession with these gems as he got richer. Whenever he bought a new gem, he kept it in his pocket for a month and sometimes took it out to admire it. Then he added it to his collection in a safe at the trust company. When he sent for me, I was working as a clerk and didn't have much money. Remembering what my mother had said, I didn't expect anything from him, but I decided to go see him anyway. When I sat beside his bed, he started talking with a strange grin on his face. "You probably think I'm strange. Let me explain," he said. What he told me was indeed odd. I've been living on money I saved up. In other words, I spent half my life saving so I could be as unusual as I wanted in the second half. Now I regret how I treated you all, and I want to be remembered by at least one of my family. You probably think I'm poor and only have my savings. You'll be pleasantly surprised. I've never sold my precious stones. They will be yours. You're my only heir. I'll die happy knowing I've made one person happy. You've always expected something from me, and I want you to keep expecting. My jewels are in a safe. There's nothing else left." When I thanked him, he grinned broadly and said, "You'll have to pay for my funeral." I have to admit, I never looked forward to spending money as much as I did to bury him. As I was leaving, he added, "The rubies are valuable. They're in a safe at the trust company. Before you open the box, make sure to read the letter on top of it. And don't shake the box," which I found strange. "Don't come back. It won't make things go faster." He died a week later and was buried nicely. The next day, they found his will, making me his heir. I opened his safe and found only a heavy iron box he had made himself. It was about 10 inches long, 8 inches wide, and 10 inches high. On top of it was a letter for me. It said, "Dear Tom, this box has many very nice pigeon blood rubies and some diamonds, including a beautiful blue one. There are hundreds of pearls too, including the famous green pearl and a necklace of blue pearls that any woman would love. I want you to keep hoping and always remember your dear uncle." I thought about Susan. I would have given these stones to a charity, but I dislike poor people as much as I dislike your mother's son. Actually, more. The box has a special mechanism. When you unlock it, it will definitely explode with my strong dynamite. Well, actually, there's only 9.5 ounces. If you doubt me and open it, you'll be blown to pieces. If you believe me, you'll keep hoping for something you'll never get. Please be very careful with the box. Don't forget your affectionate uncle." I stood shocked, holding the key. Was it true? Or was it a lie? I had spent all my money on the funeral and was now even poorer. Remembering how odd, mean, and clever Uncle Philip was with machines and explosives, I started to believe he was telling the truth in that cruel letter. I took the iron box home, put it carefully in a closet, placed the key on top, and locked the closet. Then I sat down, still hopeful, and tried to think of a way to open the box without getting killed. There had to be a way. After a week of thinking, I realized it might be safer to unlock the box from a distance. I made a plan with wires that seemed like it could work. But then I thought about what would happen if the dynamite blew up and ruined the rubies. I wouldn't get any richer. I spent hours staring at the box and holding the key. Finally, I hung the key on my watch chain, but then I worried it might get lost or stolen. Scared of that, I hid it so no one could use it to open the box. I stayed scared and unsure for weeks, worrying some accident might happen to the box. A thief might take it, open it, and find out it was all a mean trick by my uncle. Even the noise from big trucks outside started scaring me. Worst of all, my salary got cut, and I knew I couldn't get married. In my sadness, I asked Professor Clinch for help with my problem and how to get to the rubies safely. He said if my uncle was telling the truth, there was no way to get the stones without ruining them, especially the pearls. But he thought the whole story was silly and hard to believe. I offered him the biggest ruby to test his idea, but he didn't want to try. Dr. Schaff, my uncle's doctor, believed my uncle's letter. He warned me that I might lose my mind from thinking too much about the rubies. By then, I was so scared of the box that his caution didn't help at all. Eventually, Dr. Schaff kindly advised me to stop obsessing over the rubies. But I couldn't stop. I spent all my free time in big libraries reading about dynamite. I talked about it so much that the library staff thought I was crazy or obsessed with explosives. They even talked to the police about me. I think I was watched as a suspicious person for a while. I stopped going to the libraries and became even more afraid. I put my precious box on a soft pillow to protect it from any shaking. I worried that even an earthquake could set it off. I even tried to figure out how much shaking it would take to make the box explode. When I saw Dr. Schaff again, he begged me to forget about the box. I realized I was completely controlled by one crazy idea, so I tried to follow his good advice. Unfortunately, I soon found a list of the stones and their values hidden in my uncle's Bible. It was from 2 years before he died. The stones were famous and worth a lot of money, which surprised me. Some rubies were described in detail. One was called the Sunset Ruby, once owned by Empress Queen Maria Theresa. Another was the Blood Ruby, not named for its color, but because it was connected to murders. Reading about them made me feel like death was hanging over me again. The pearls were carefully described too, as a very special collection. My uncle had written detailed stories about 2 of them, almost like biographies. One black pearl was called She in an old document, which seemed strange to me. It was frustrating. Here I had wealth beyond what anyone could dream of, but it came with the constant fear of sudden death. I'm not smart or good at solving problems. I only know how to keep financial records. So, my ideas about how to solve this puzzle are probably silly and not very smart. Once, I thought about finding someone brave enough to open the box for me, but I couldn't ask anyone else to risk something I feared myself. I thought maybe I could drop the box from a high place. If it didn't explode, then I could safely unlock it. But if it did explode, I'd lose my rubies. They were supposed to be mine, but I felt both rich and poor at the same time. I became thin and sad, so miserable that, as a good Catholic, I finally talked to my priest about it. He thought my uncle's letter was just a cruel joke, but he wasn't eager to face danger just to open the box. He advised me to stop thinking about it, but I couldn't. I dreamed about it. It was impossible not to think about it, no matter how hard I tried. My own thoughts, science, and religion couldn't help me. 2 years passed, and now I'm one of the richest men in the city, but I barely have enough money to live on. Susan said I was going crazy like Uncle Philip and broke off our engagement. In my desperation, I placed an advertisement in the Journal of Science and received many absurd ideas in response. Eventually, everyone knew about the box because I talked about it too much. When I tried to keep it safe in a bank, they asked me to take it away. I was always afraid of burglars, and my landlady asked me to leave because no one wanted to stay in a house with that box. Now I'm advised to publish my story and wait for advice from clever Americans. I moved to the suburbs and hid the box. I changed my name and job to avoid curious reporters. When government officials heard about my inheritance, they wanted to collect taxes on my uncle's estate. I was happy to help them. I told the tax collector my story and showed him Uncle Philip's letter. Then I gave him the key and asked for time to get far away. He said he would think about it and come back later. That's all I have to say. I wrote a will and left my rubies and pearls to the Society for the Prevention of Human Vivisection. If anyone thinks this story is a joke or made up, they should imagine the situation. A strong box full of wealth, said to also hold dynamite, ready to explode when someone tries to open it. What would any sensible person do? What advice would they give?